Hello and welcome. Each week I seek to bring you a short message relevant to the times in which we live. And so we want to try and do the same again today. And my subject today is a review of world events and alarming plans. Now, the Bible is very clear that in the end times, perilous times shall come. I remind you of 2 Timothy chapter 3 and verse 1. This know also, that in the last days perilous times shall come. I say to you today that those perilous times are with us now. We're living in them. We're starting to see the immensity of what's happening in this world. These are alarming days, and there are plans for the future that are very, very alarming indeed. Now, I would say that politically, we have never been in more dangerous times than at the present moment. We see war in Israel, it's very alarming, and the nations of the world have risen up in great hatred against Israel. We know at the moment that President Biden is withdrawing support and prohibiting arms sales, etc., to America. He's turned his back upon, or Israel rather, he has turned his back upon Israel and is letting them down. Don't be surprised that other nations follow suit. That will be the pattern, because the Bible teaches that at final analysis at the end of the day, we're not quite there yet, but at the end of the day, Israel will be forsaken by all its friends and it will stand alone, and then the greatest event of all times will happen. God will come to Israel's rescue. That is the scenario. It's not going to happen right now, but we're on the way towards it. They're chipping away gradually at Israel, trying to destroy it. And the United Nations is an enemy of Israel, no help coming from there. Europe is not all that much in favor of Israel. So support for Israel is diminishing all the time. And increasing anti-Semitism around the world is alarming in the extent to which it has risen. So we're in political difficulties at this very moment, and we need to be aware of that. The Western world today is in turmoil, really because of immigration, illegal immigration. I've mentioned America. When Joe Biden came to power, he immediately rescinded every decision that Donald Trump had made, threw the border wide open, and there's already over 8 million people have flooded into America, a vast amount of people over these last 3 to 4 years. It is frightening, absolutely frightening. And the same in every country in the world. Britain is flooded. It's one of the headline news of the hour. It causes the most alarm. We think of other nations. Ireland is up in arms. Southern Ireland is up. The Republic of Ireland is up in arms at the moment. There's been such an influx of illegal immigration. They're lying in tents in Dublin City. It's a shame for any nation to be subjected to such a state of affairs, and the Irish are revolting and rising up. Mass protests are taking place, and the government looks in a very vulnerable situation. France is in trouble. There's a great revolt in France because Islam has reached such proportions. The Muslims are holding sway in vast areas of France, major cities. There are no-go areas. They can't control. The Muslims dictate the terms. We go to Germany. Just 2 weeks ago, we saw a vast demonstration of Muslims in Germany calling for an Islamic state calling for an Islamic leader. They protested and demanded Islamic Caliphate. They would appoint their own leader. That shows you how much they think of democracy. In Germany, Islam has reached such proportions. In the Netherlands, I see that Geert Wilders has called for the banning and is going to ban Muslim immigration into the Netherlands. So it's all happening, and they want no more Muslims. It's a picture all over Europe. Nations have been flooded with Islamic immigration. Young men of army age, and there has been a story going for quite a long time. Of course, it's looked upon as a theory, but why all these young men flooding into Europe? It's sinister, it's serious, and it's causing a lot of alarm. Now, London, take for example the capital city of Israel, of England, has been overrun with Muslims. At the recent council elections, the election of a new mayor for London, Sadiq Khan, again came to victory. He got only 18% of the vote. 60% of Londoners are so fed up with what's happening, they didn't vote. Apathy. Terrible. That's destroying democracy. Apathy. Total apathy. 60% never voted. And of the remaining 40%, Khan only got 18%, and with 18% of a vote, he's destroying London, introducing all these traffic laws, and companies are boycotting London, and there's a call that all transport should boycott London and bring them to their knees. That Khan would have to end these ridiculous charges. You go in to deliver goods into the centre of London, you're charged £100, I think it is, and firms are being robbed, and they are passing that on, of course, to the customers, which is a bad system for the commerce of London. But there we are. When you appoint Muslim leaders, look out. They're not in favour of enhancing or benefiting the country. They want to destroy the country so that eventually they would lead. Now, so much for immigration. I want to, in this brief little message that I have to speak to you, I want to point out two future plans that are coming into place. They've all to do with world government and with controlling us, and they are all in line with totalitarian government. The World Health Organization now this month, I think it's somewhere around the 24th of the month, the date in May, are meeting, and they have a great plan in mind. They want to create what they call pandemic preparedness. Pandemic preparedness. They're preparing for the next pandemic. They've already named it Disease X, and they're planning for vaccinations, and they're experimenting with vaccinations for a disease that they don't yet hasn't yet arrived with it. It's evidently going to be engineered and provided for them, and will not go down that road any further. Suspect. Totally, absolutely suspect. But the World Health Organization wants to get total sovereignty over the nations of the world. That's their aim. They're denying that, but that's what it's all about. I've mentioned this before. It's now coming to a head, and there's big debate about it, and there's big alarm being caused about it, because we know what it's going to lead to. It's going to lead to vaccine passports, and unless you have a vaccine passport, you'll not travel. Now, I used to love to travel abroad in my younger days with my wife and our family. We travelled quite a bit. I loved that, to have a nice holiday annually. And most people do, and a lot of people have 2 or 3 holidays. People who are wealthy, there's no limits to what they can do today and where they can go. But there will be, if the World Health Organization has its way, they're going to demand vaccine passports. You'll have to have a vaccine history, and they'll make sure that you have the jab that they want you to have, or you will not travel. A very, very, very dangerous situation, I point out to you today. But there's worse coming. Worse coming. And it's all in league, it's all working together. I'm referring now to the United Nations. And next September, the United Nations are going to meet. I'm trying to get my place, I've lost it here. The United Nations are going to make the 79th meeting of the United Nations will take place, of the General Assembly. And it's going to be quite a meeting. This year, a very dangerous treaty will be signed. It's called the I'm trying to see this on my notes. Summit of the Future. That's the title of it. The Summit of the Future. And what plans they have. What plans. This Pact for the Future is expected to call for a declaration, a planetary emergency. Declare a planetary emergency. That's the big thing, you see. They deal in terms always of emergency. Planetary emergency. Get everybody scared. The world's going to collapse. The heavens are going to fall in on us because of overwarming and global warming and overheating. I heard a program on the BBC just 2 or 3 days ago after the news, or on the news actually. It was on the news, an item on the news of the seas warm and how much they've warmed, how dangerous it is. It was a pack of lies. Couldn't be substantiated. The thing about all this is they never give an objector's view. There's no discussion, there's no debate. Debate's not allowed. Debate's out the window. Everything's pushed it upon us today as fact, and we know that the majority of it is lies and exaggerations. So they're talking about a planetary emergency. What will be the agreement and its policies for our nations? What will it entail? To garner the goals of 2030. Now I'll let you in on a big secret. It's not a big secret, but it's well known that the Agenda 2030 has failed. It has failed, no matter what they tell you. Antonio Guthrie, the Secretary General, had to state, he's been working now for 2 years, the thing is collapsing, and they've pulled out all the stops and they're trying to get something working again to try to push things forward. They have only achieved 12% of their goals. They introduced those goals in 2015, the 2030 Agenda. And they introduced it. They have only achieved, after 9 years, they have only achieved 12% of their goals. And Guthrie has stated that 50% of them, and here's what he said, 50% of them are weak and insufficient. They're not achieving anything. They're going nowhere. And he further added that 30% have stalled or gone into reverse. God help us. 30% of the big plans have stalled and gone into reverse, and I've news for them. That'll continue, because men are rising up today, and they're seeing the folly of it, and they're seeing the madness of it, and they've had enough. See the farmers protesting across Europe. There'll be an outcome in the June election. I tell you, these fellows, they have more to chew than what they reckoned on, and things are certainly not going their way. That is the situation that they are facing. Now, they tell us that this great conference or meeting of great minds, the leaders of the world, that this is a once in a lifetime opportunity to address gaps in global governance. It's all about global governance. It's all about a one world order. It's all about getting control of us. It's all about putting us in our box and ordering us around. That's what it's all about, and it has been failing, and they're going to try to revive it all and brush it up and put a new coat of paint on it and sell it as a great idea. They're going to give it all, they're going to pull out all the stops and give it full volume, but it's the same old dead agenda dressed up in fancy new clothes. Modern day dress. Make it look better, but it's the same old story, and it's not going to it's not going to be worn very easily. People don't want to wear it. One of the big factors in it, of course, is a planetary emergency. They're going to declare a planetary emergency. We're overwarming, we're overheating, we're eating too much beef, there's too many cows in the fields. Must be ended. And we see the trouble that we're headed for, and men are revolting against it. Very, very serious situation. Very, very serious situation. Now, they're also in the document, I haven't time to go through it, it would take me a week going through it. A global financial system that works for all. That's a number one priority. A global financial system that works for all, and you know what that means. Read between the lines. It is CBDC, central bank digital currency. They want to control your money, and they're at it already. And 90% of banks are ready to introduce this digital currency. If you went into your banks recently, some time ago I went into my bank and I saw on the wall you can only withdraw £3,000. Only withdraw three. I know someone that went into their bank just a week or two ago to withdraw £3,000, and they told me you were only allowed to draw 2,000, have to come back another day. They want to control us. Imagine a bank. When you deposit your money in your bank, you should be able to withdraw it whenever you want, but not anymore. The controllers are working it all out. Now, time is almost gone, and I must turn, as usual, to end my little thoughts on a spiritual note. This has all to do with our control. And that's what end-time Bible prophecy is all about, because it teaches us that there's a vehicle of control coming, and they want to control us all. You'll not be free to make up your own mind. You will bow to dictates. You will be governed. You will be controlled. You will not be free to speak your mind. We have trouble with that already. You'll not be able to go where you want to go. They'll impose passport restrictions upon you. Dress it up in fancy language. You'll just do what you're told and go where you're allowed to go, and they're going to control you. That's the government of the future. We need to stand against it and raise our voices against it and decry all that they have in mind to foist upon us. This has all come about. I return to the main subject because we have rejected God as a nation. We have rejected Christianity. the blessings and benefits that the Christian faith brought to us, the Christian home, the Christian father, the Christian mother, the children brought up in the fear and admonition of the Lord. They were a blessing. Our world was peaceful. There were good things happening. Family life was happy. We had good times. I look back on childhood days. I look back on my life, a lovely time. Today I fear for my grandchildren. I fear what they're going to face. Some of them at the moment doing their final exams and hoping to go to university. What lies before our dear families, our dear children? Wickedness thrust upon them from hell. Delusions. Truth is now today turned as lies, and lies is turned as truth. We're in a frightening situation. The breakdown of morals, the breakdown of integrity. All these things all came to us through the Christian faith. We have discarded that as a nation now, and the nations of the world have followed suit, and we're in decline every way that you look at us, in terrible decline, and headed for trouble, and most certainly headed for the judgments of a holy God. I appeal to you today, turn to Jesus Christ. Start living for God. Start honoring Jesus Christ in your life. Start standing up for truth. Raise your voice on behalf of righteousness. It was Burke that said that all that needed to happen for evil to triumph was that good men did nothing. Well, I believe there's some good men starting to rise up today to oppose these hellish things that have been foisted upon us and to raise their voice against them. And it's time for you as an individual, if you're not yet born again, if you're not yet following Jesus Christ, if you don't love him, if you're not seeking to serve him, it's time you started for heaven. It's time you looked up. It's time you looked out and opened your eyes to what's happening in the world, and lose this couldn't care less attitude that's destroying the world, and seeing the wrong men get into places of power and influence in our world that is destroying our world today. Flee to Jesus Christ in these alarming times and start living for him today. Now shall we pray together? Our dear Father, again you've allowed us to think on these alarming times in which we live. Oh, we plead, warn men and women to flee to Jesus and start living for him in the great uncertainties of these end times. We pray in his name and for his sake. Amen. Now, thank you for watching today, and may God bless you.